I just want to come on here really quickly and say every day does not have to be perfect, okay? Every day does not have to be perfect if you are on a journey of a higher expansion, if you're trying to get to more money, more friendship, more connection, more love, more abundance. Every day does not have to be perfect. Yesterday, I made a video about binge eating and not doing well and wanting to smoke and wanting to drink, and I didn't do my hair, I didn't do my makeup, I was not feeling my mythical best at all. And then today, I feel great. I'm going to edit some videos. I put some effort and time into myself. I feel a little bit more grounded, a little bit more connected, and that's just a part of the journey. I just want you to remember, and especially if you're a part of my collective, you're a human being. And sometimes it's hard to realize that and remember that when you do have such light-coded gifts within you, when you do feel a little out of this world, when you do feel different. Sometimes you can put, and I can put, unrealistic expectations on myself, and I really just wanted to come on here to say it's okay to be human. It's okay to have days. Some days are not going to look like others, and other days are going to look like the best days in the world, and that's just part of it. Appreciate the journey from start to finish, because one day you're going to die. That's what I like to tell all my clients, and it gets a little funky and it gets a little weird, but truly, you're going to die. This ends, okay? You're not going to be here forever. Now, your energy, your soul, your essence will move on, but this version of you will die. This exact experience will end. Enjoy it, and enjoy all of it, not just the good. I think for so long we get caught up in these ideas and these feelings of, like, especially for me, I hated feeling uncomfortable, okay? I hated feeling flat, I hated feeling numb, I hated feeling the depression, I hated feeling the anxiety. Of course, who wouldn't? But if you have for years and years and years tried to escape that, and you've unintentionally abandoned yourself in those moments of feeling low, the cycle will repeat. The cycle will repeat. The cycle will repeat. It's not about never feeling depressed. It's about not abandoning yourself when you do. It's about supporting yourself. It's about not judging yourself. It's about saying, hey, this is where we are today. This is what it feels like today. And that's okay. I'm here with you. I got you. I love you. You're not alone. And then notice how less often it happens. I used to be the person that did not get out of bed for 8, 10, 12 hours on end. It took everything to get me out of bed. I was so depressed. I didn't brush my teeth. I didn't brush my hair. I didn't wash my ass consistently. I did not pour into myself at all. I had no skincare routine. I ate whatever. I drank whatever. There was no self-love in this temple for years and years and years and years and years on end. And I was so ashamed about how I was treating myself that I was disassociating so that I didn't have to face it, because there was shame and guilt around how I was treating me. When I stopped shaming and guilting myself, and I started loving myself, and I started unconditionally showing up for every version of myself, that's when my days started to change. When I stopped saying, dang, I haven't brushed my teeth in 2 days, and started saying, hey, this is the 3rd day and I brushed my teeth. Good for you, girl. We're doing stuff. We're going places. Things are getting better. Started looking at the good instead of the bad, and holding my hand during the bad. I think that is like the number one thing that I would preach to anybody is, like, don't abandon yourself. Don't leave yourself. Don't shame or guilt yourself for the things that you were put through that then had an effect. Look at the bag you were given. I say it all the time. Look beside you at the bag you were given, and the scraps that are in there, and how far you've gotten and where you are, and pat yourself on the shoulder, because you shouldn't even be here. You shouldn't even really be alive. Look at it, showing somebody walking alone in like a neighborhood at night, and when they were like 10, 11, 12, 13 years old, and I understand that. You shouldn't even be here, girl. You shouldn't even be here, man. Truly, truly. Pat yourself on the shoulder for where you are, and don't abandon yourself whenever you're having a bad day, or whenever your body is having an effect based off of what it was given growing up, or your mental health isn't 110%, but based off of what you had. Why would it be? It takes time. You have to cultivate a happy, healthy brain. If you're living in survival mode, or if you have lived in survival mode for years and years and years and years and years on end, you can't just flip a switch. And it's showing someone who maybe is trying to, I'm seeing someone either maybe smoke or take mushrooms or something, and is trying to get this big, like, hoorah moment of, like, okay, now everything's changed. And unfortunately, that's usually not how it works. I've heard of people who have had like one big experience and it changed their life forever. But for me, no matter how profound the experiences that I have spiritually, or no matter how profound the experience that I had whenever I was smoking, it didn't necessarily just like shift me out of, you know, that timeline and into this one. It's the consistent effort. Who was it? Bruce Lee that said, consistent effort will outshine. I'll have to look. I'm gonna put that quote right here because I love it. I just can't think of it right now. But consistently showing up for yourself and consistently trying is going to get you so much further than this big intense moment ever will. Okay, you've got to show up for yourself, and you have to understand that not every day is going to be pretty. It's not always just showing up for yourself when you feel good, or when the sun's shining right and your mind's not chattering and you're you know, you're inspired and you're this and that. It's showing up for yourself when you don't feel like getting out of bed, when you don't feel like brushing your teeth, when you don't feel like doing anything. And again, not to enable yourself or to allow yourself. I think this is where the confusion happens, because some of the people that I work with is like, well, if I was to just be there for me, I would rot in bed, you know, for forever. I want to argue that for a second. I want to say, if you have a day where you don't want to get out of bed, okay, and you can technically not get out of bed, allow yourself to lay there for as long as you want to without judging yourself, okay? Because I believe what is happening is you're putting yourself in this loop of, I'm bad, I shouldn't be doing this, I shouldn't, and then you're not even able to enjoy what your body may be asking for, which might be just rest and laying there for a bit. It's the mental chatter that happens in your mind because you're judging yourself and you're shaming yourself, not the act of laying there. It's the same thing I was talking about yesterday with food. It's not the act of eating, it's the shaming yourself for having the food that puts you in these binge cycles. It's not the act of laying down, it's the shaming yourself for resting that puts you in these depressive episodes. You've been so conditioned to not be able to rest or to feel shame or guilt around resting that there's a resistance that happens and it feels like you never get to. Therefore, whenever you're doing it all the time, and it may look like, oh, but I'm doing it all the time, but I never feel rested, it's because you're not allowing yourself to up here. I think there was like a 3-day span where I legit bed rotted and I didn't feel bad about it, and I ate some shit, and I mean, it was bad. I didn't wash my hair, I didn't do anything. I eventually got up and I felt pretty rested after, and I wasn't hard on myself. I was not mean to myself. I wasn't laying there being like, oh, I shouldn't do this, oh, I'm so bad, oh, no. That perpetuates the cycle. I laid there until I wanted to get up, and then when I got up, I asked myself, what do I really have in me to do right now? And whenever I did that, I praised myself for even doing that, because I could have not done that. And I think by like genuinely loving yourself and building yourself up in the smallest ways is going to really help you, because it's showing someone who didn't have a lot of praise growing up. You had to work really hard for love. You had to really show out to get some attention and some love. And I understand that. And because of that, you have probably been running on this paradigm and on this wheel of, I'm bad, I'm unworthy, I'm doing something wrong, I've got to work for love, I've got to do something to earn something, I've got to, you know, there's this subconscious thing that happens, and I want you to stop that and start building yourself up even in the smallest ways. And you're going to notice, you're going to want to put yourself down before you build yourself up. You're going to want to say, oh yeah, but I'm so shitty for laying in this bed, instead of saying, you know what, I laid in the bed for 1 day, I could have done it for 2, I'm proud of you. And it feels weird and it sounds weird, and everything in you is going to want to, like I said, put yourself down first, because that's what we've been conditioned to do. But the more that you build yourself up, the more that you praise yourself, the more that you love yourself, I promise you, the more your life is going to shift, and your body and little you is going to want to start doing things, because we inherently want recognition. And it's got to start with you. It's got to start with recognizing yourself. It's got to start with building yourself up. And when you start to do this, every day you'll notice you'll want to start to do a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. Nobody wants to do more in an environment where they don't feel appreciated. You probably don't feel appreciated with yourself. You probably don't appreciate yourself, build yourself up, or love yourself enough because it wasn't mirrored to you. You've got to be the one to do it now, baby. You've got to be the one to do it now. And when you do, I promise you, your life is going to change. Your habits are going to change. Your day-to-day is going to look different. And you're still going to have days like I had yesterday and like I had last week, where it's not, you know, all sparkles and rainbows and butterflies all the time, because it's not, because we are human beings and this is life. But I promise you, the wheel will start to change. You'll start to show up for yourself. Your teeth will start to sparkle. Your hair will start to matter to you, how it looks. Your face will start to glow. You'll want to pour into yourself because it feels good to love yourself. You've just never been shown how to. The version of me that I was stepping into was basically the complete opposite of little me. It was the complete opposite of everything I had been taught, the programs I was running on, how I was treating myself. It was the complete opposite, okay? And the more and more that I stepped into this version of me, the more disconnected I felt from the previous version of me. But little you will always exist within you, okay? You can't separate from her or him. It's you are one entity, and your higher self, your younger self, and you are all one, okay? And when I first started doing this shadow work, I noticed there was a big disconnect between, obviously, who I was and who I wanted to be. So I created these 2 documents, and in the first one, it was Rose, my higher self, and who I wanted to be. What she did, what she looked like, how she acted, how she spoke, you know, the basic identity work. On the second document, I wrote, this would be previous me, so little Kayla is my foster child, okay? As if I was bringing home a foster child or an adopted child who had went through what Kayla had went through. So I put on there, she has a history of sexual abuse, she has a history of neglect, she has a history of this, she has a history of that, she has a history of that. Knowing that, whenever I would go into day-to-day life, I could separate what was higher version me and what was little me. And I could ask myself, am I making this decision right now, or is my foster kid making this decision right now? Because if my foster kid's making this decision right now, I need to step in. And it was easier for me to separate the 2 so that I could come back online and grab the wheel. There's a weird middle ground that happens where you're kind of unsure of who's driving. You're like, I know the car's going, I know where I want to go, I don't really know who's behind the wheel, I'm not sure if I'm reacting from a space of anxiety or if this is my intuition, everything's loud, I'm trying to follow my intuition but I'm terrified. That's probably because your foster child is driving. You've got to jump back in front of the driver's seat and say, hey, I got it, baby, and start making decisions from a higher ground. You're not going to be able to do it all the time. And if you had a foster kid right now, you could not expect them to go from A to Z, okay? If you had a child come to stay with you that had a history of sexual assault, that had a history of abuse, that had a history of neglect, that had a history of abandonment, that had a history of couch hopping, that had a history of this and that, they would not come to your house and just be fine and dandy in day 2. It takes patience, it takes kindness, it takes love, it takes safety, it takes security to build the foundation for them to be able to relax and let you take the wheel, because they are not used to letting someone take care of them. They are not used to being pampered. They are not used to being loved on. They're not used to being a routine or stable or this and that. And it's so funny because whenever I work with people who have ADHD or who have large amounts of trauma, they all say the same thing. I'm so undisciplined. I'm so undisciplined. I don't know what to do. I feel like I never can show up for myself. I feel like I can't say, I feel like I can't keep my word to myself, and I'm so undisciplined. And I'm like, no, you are not undisciplined. You are a literal survivor of trauma, and you are running off of a paradigm of that. You're not undisciplined, because I promise you, if you were born into a dynamic where your parents showed you emotional regulation, structure, safety, money, you would not be the same person you are today. You've learned to survive. And all I want to do is show you how to take the wheel back and do the things your parents weren't able to do for you, so that you can cultivate a sense of safety, so that you can soften, so that you can be in receptive mode, so the universe can bring you abundance. That's my spiel. I love you guys. I hope you get something out of this. If you have any questions, please comment them down below. I am so happy to to finally be doing this because I've got some shit to share. And I've been shamed for a long time and afraid for a long time, and I haven't been able to express myself or bring my throat chakra back online, and I've done so much shadow work to be able to be here, and I just want that for you as well. I want you to be able to express yourself. I want you to be able to express your sacred yeses and your sacred nos to you and everyone around you, to set boundaries, to stop being a doormat and have people walk all over you, to feel safe in your body, safe in your existence, safe in who you are, no matter what that looks like. I channel, I bring people through, I talk to dead people, and I probably look like a nut job doing it, and I've never felt more secure in my life, and I just want that for all my beings out there. I love every single one of you, even if it's only 5 of you that watch this. Thank you for sharing your energy with me, and I hope you get something out of it. Godspeed.